welcome back to the show. Today we have a very special guest. You know him from Ink Masters. He's also a great shoe enthusiast. Ninja Turtles, total fanatic. You're going to love this guy. Uh, Thom Bulman with Bull Airs on Instagram. But before we jump into this episode, let's get a word from today's sponsor. Are you looking for clean energy without jitters and bad side effects? No sugar, artificial sweeteners, or preservatives? With a good source of energy from green tea and B12? Then look no further. Make sure you visit pureboost.com and check them out today. We use this every day. It's our drink of choice to give us that good pick-me-up in the morning. All right, welcome back to the show. Today we have a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Thom Bulman. You might know me from Bulmanized, and I've told my beautiful host here, Ink Master Season 9 and Grudge Match on Paramount.
Very cool. So how are you today?
Good. No complaints. Just working hard. Me and my buddy John, who's over there in the wings, we're just hanging out here. We were watching a few videos, putting up some shelves, and boxing up some shoes. So busy day these days.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into tattooing.
Yeah, I mean, been tattooing. Well, now I'm retired from tattooing, but I was tattooing for about, I want to say it was almost 17 years. Got in early 2000s, pretty much. Learned at a biker shop, like most of us that got into it that early on. And just kind of just made my way up through different shop. Usually it was, once I felt that the talent pool had given me all the information from that they had to offer, I'd work my way up to, the next shop with respect to the place I came from before. I always left on a good terms and stuff like that. But I was kind of I always was oh, this is like the minor league and I'm working my way up to the majors,
Right.
I guess the majors you can say is like Ink Master and stuff like that.
So where did the interest come from to be kind of like an artist and then be, for lack of better terms, a skin artist?
Yeah. So rewind back a little bit. In high school, middle high school, I was in a band. So I was like the punk rock kid, and all the bands that I looked up to, like MXPX and stuff like that, Social Distortion, they all had tattoos. So I always thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And then, throughout my early 20s, I was going on tour and constantly getting tattooed on tour, constantly, meeting other people that were tattoo artists. And, I've always been an artist myself. So I always was drawing nonstop. And at a certain point, I was just drawing tattoos for friends and other bandmates. So when we would go on tour, they would just say, "Hey, I want you to draw up a Sacred Heart," and I'd draw it up, and then we get it tattooed someplace on tour and stuff like that. So when the musical career was kind of coming to an end, or you get to a certain point where you're like, I don't know if this is going to go any further than what it is, that's kind of when I made the transition into getting an apprenticeship and then learning, how to do that and kind of moving in that direction. So right now, my life is broken up into 3 sections. It's the first section is being in bands, touring. Second section is Ink Master, tattoos, all that good stuff. And then the third is now moving into footwear, designing and creating shoes and stuff like that. So it's a fun time.
That's so cool. As far as Ink Master goes, what was that process like?
It really wasn't too hard to get on it because the guy that taught me how to really tattoo, the guy that took me under his wing, was a guy named Dave Kruzman. He was also on season, I think, 5 or 6 of Ink Master. They just called him Kruzman for some reason. I don't know why they didn't want to call him Dave. But when he was done with his season, he actually won his season. I got a referral from him because at that point, it used to be in the first couple seasons, you could get you could go to a casting call in New York City and they would interview you and stuff like that. But at a certain point, I think around season 4 or 5, they started doing referrals. So people that were on past seasons were starting to refer other people that they thought would be good. and he referred me and got a. I think I had referrals the first year. I did a couple little FaceTime interviews, and I was on deck to be on season 8, but something happened, and they ended up passing on me. And then the next year, I got a call, and then we did the same thing, and then eventually I got on that season 9. So yeah. And then the same thing when I was done, I referred my buddy Pon, and he's on this season of Ink Master now, but he was on season 10, 10 or 11, I can't remember, but yeah, I referred him and he got on it too. So it's a lot of just referrals.
What was it like to be on the show? Was it did it have a lot of pressure coming along with it?
I mean, I'm like a TV whore, so I grew up like loving Real World and MTV's, Road Rules and all that stuff like that. So reality TV is like honestly like something that I really love and kind of like my um, hidden secret, I guess, my guilty pleasure. Me and my wife watch a lot of like Bravo, 90 Day Fiance, and all these horrible shows. Um, and the whole time I was loving it. I was, because I want to eventually film documentaries. And did I say it right, John? No, apparently I say documentaries wrong. But I wanted to film docs, and the whole time I'm constantly asking the cameraman like, hey, what kind of lens are you using there? What kind of camera? Kind of just learn the lingo about like marks and positions and all this other cool stuff. So I was just soaking it in as far as that, like the production wise. As far as being on the show, it honestly the tattooing is the easiest part. It's really the pressure you get from the other contestants. What a lot of people don't realize is when you're on the show, they take away your cell phone, so you don't have your cell phone. The windows are all blacked out. There's no clock. There's no TV. You're not allowed to leave the room like the loft that you're in. So like they basically there's no clock. So like they basically make you go stir crazy, and that's how they get you to fight with each other. Is they know how to work you guys mentally. That was
Wow.
Yeah, that was the hard part. The tattooing, that's easy. We could do that with our eyes closed. But the thing is, everybody would start fighting with each other or having arguments, and then that's when you start second guessing yourself. And it's really, it has nothing really to do with the tattoos. It's just like is he going to backstab me? Is he going to talk shit about me? So it's a lot of that. That's the hard part. That's the part that I mean, I know at least one person on at least every person on every season at one point will say like to production, like, I'm done, I'm out of here. They're like, no, you can't leave. You signed a contract. So you bitch about it. You storm off to your bed, and then you come back later.
And I see you're a big collector with Ninja Turtles behind you there.
Yeah, I got Ninja Turtles. I got everything. I got Silverhawks, Bucky O'Hare, Star Wars. I mean, I like Ninja Turtles is like my number one, but I collect everything.
I noticed that because I'm a much Ninja Turtles fan. Huge, late goodness, I can't talk. Late '80s, '90s, yeah. And my wife and I were just watching the first two the other day, and it's crazy how they still stand the test of time.
Oh yeah, because they were made with practical effects. Those are Jim Henson's creatures. So obviously they're going to look good. When you get to the third one, it gets a little wonky because they started doing some cheaper things to the faces. But the first two are amazing. They hold up great.
Oh yeah, yeah. So how does that incorporate into you making and designing shoes?
Yeah, so like when COVID hit, I kind of had to change. A couple of years ago, my back was starting to get pretty bad. So like most tattooers, we don't stretch, we don't tattoo properly. So I was kind of getting chronic back pain, and that's right when COVID hit at the same time, and I basically wasn't able to tattoo for 4 or 5 months, or we didn't know how long at that point. So kind of had to pivot a little bit, and kind of had a friend just tell me like, hey, you should try. His name's Dom. He's a sneaker surgeon, and he teaches these classes. And he basically said like, hey, try my course to see if you like it. I go, okay, I'll give it a whirl. I got nothing else to do since I'm off on vacation. So I gave that a whirl. I did the Wolverine shoes. I loved it. And then I just realized that like there's like this niche market of all these nerdy people that really are unfulfilled with like quality of the shoes that they want, and luckily everything that I've produced, for the most part, I mean, there's been some duds here and there, but for the most part, everybody seems to be liking what I'm putting out. So I guess I'm doing something right.
Right. I think that's what I saw when I was finding you on Instagram was the shoes, man. That caught my eye. I love it. The idea of it is just, it's not outrageous like crazy, but it is one of those things that you're creating something that somebody wants somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Like my favorite that I've done are the Captain Planets. But like, that's such that's a niche market of a niche market. So like when I dropped those, we didn't sell much at all, but I made a dream shoe for me, so I like to do like the mainstream drops like the Ninja Turtles where I know that they're going to sell. And then I have my passion projects like, if I did a Silverhawk shoe or Set Doors or, one of these old toy lines, I know that they probably won't sell that much, but it's okay because I got money in the bank from the Ninja Turtle release,
Right. Yeah, and I think I commented the other day about seeing what an Avengers shoe would look like. Man, that would sell like hotcakes,
so,
I would think. But
it's not a drop, but I have a commission that's almost done, and it's one pair of shoes, but it's the old Avengers, the original Avenger, and the shoe. Each shoe is literally split in half. So one side is Iron Man, one side is Thor, then the other one side is Hulk, and then the what is the other side? Trying to think. Can't remember what the other one is, but yeah, they're all split right in half. It's super super cool. So that's a commission I'm doing, a 1 of 1, and that's almost done. And I can't wait to post that because I'm gonna make that look like it's in an old Marvel '60s comic book.
Oh wow, that's gonna look sweet.
Yeah.
So as far as the collecting goes, I would imagine there was something that caught your eye, when you were younger that made it to where you wanted to collect things and then led into the stuff that you have now.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I think like everybody that was born in the 70s or early 80s, we were all attracted to Star Wars toys. So like I grew up just going to KB toy stores and Toys R Us and grabbing a few figures off the pegs, taking those home and just playing the shit out of them. Until I went to summer camp and my mom decided she wanted to sell all my Star Wars toys while I was away, and then I came home and I was pissed. She sold my Millennium Falcon, my AT-ST, sold them all. I was so pissed.
Yeah, and see, for me being, early 80s kid, I was born in 83, the thing that sticks out to me is stuff like, later on in the 80s, Ghostbusters, Real Ghostbusters, you had the Ninja Turtle animated series,
yep.
Things like that. I mean, that was my first introduction to the Ninja Turtles was the cartoon, for sure.
Oh, mine too. Yeah, I didn't know anything about the comics or anything like that.
Yeah, I didn't know a comic existed for that until a couple years ago, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I knew, like, in the late 90s that there was a comic, but I really had no interest in it. I was like, the cartoon, the toys, that's it,
Right. And with me being a huge Ninja Turtles fan, Ghostbusters fan, things like that, I looked at some of the stuff that they came out with after the original 3 live action, and I didn't really care for them too much. Everybody said that there were some, I think it was TMNT, that was okay, and then there were a lot of people that didn't like the Michael Bay.
Oh, like the movies. Yeah, I could really take them or leave them. The Michael Bay ones, yeah, the Turtles are just too big in my opinion, especially Raph. He was like the size of a tank, and I'm not a huge Megan Fox fan, so I mean I watched them, I enjoyed them for the most part, but I'm not collecting anything from those whatsoever. I miss the old Jim Henson Ninja Turtles, so yeah.
Yeah, and I don't blame you there. And that I've heard that.
I will
during the process.
The Nickelodeon 2012 series was pretty good.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to check that out.
CGI TV show, and that was a really good show. Just the storyline and how they kind of brought it back to like what the cartoon was. And there's even an episode in there where they go into another dimension, and they're in the same dimension as the CGI ones from the 2012, the 80s cartoon one, and then they're from the TMNT ones in the early 2000s. All three of those are in the same world. So that's a really cool episode too.
I'll have to check that out. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, that one was really cool. I think Seth Green was one of the voices. Jason Biggs from American Pie. There's a lot of cool voice actors in that show too.
Definitely, yeah. I'll have to look that up. What do you think about the remake that they're doing or in the process of doing with Seth Rogen?
Oh,
yeah,
I think it's going to be amazing. I mean, I'm a huge Seth Rogen fan. Anything that he's been doing, I've been liking a lot. From the concept art that has leaked out that I've seen, it looks really cool. I like that they're going with them a little bit smaller than the Michael Bay stuff. You know what I mean? Where it brings it more back to. I don't think they're as big as the 80s cartoon ones, but I think they're even a little bit more skinnier than that, and I kind of like it. It's more stylized, and I think that's going to be really, really cool. So I love Mutant Mayhem? I think that's the title of it. That name is awesome, you know?
Oh yeah. I've heard mixed things about him doing it, and I think that if they go back to somewhat of what the originals were, where it's not, so far over the top where, they're 12 feet tall and this, that, and the other, that it would be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be really cool. So.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so on the shoe line that you have, are they for sale, some of them?
Yeah, usually the SB Dunks, the Ninja Turtle Classic ones that were based after the Playmates, those of the pre-orders of those all ended like I think the day or two after Thanksgiving, and then those are going to be they're being made right now in a factory, and those should be sent out. We got some pairs right now that are sending out for the single orders, and then the bundle orders are going to be sent out at the beginning of January. So, but I know I ordered a few extras, so if people are interested in those, there will be some extras that will be posted. You just basically got to follow the Bull Air's Instagram there, and when I'm done sending out everyone's orders, then I'll post like, hey, I have this many sizes left of this one. So, yeah, usually cool. Just because everything. I hate to buy like 100 pairs of shoes from the factory and then only sell 20 pairs, and that's a lot of money just to be sitting around. So I usually like to do the pre-order method because that tends to work the best.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm interested to see what's next for you. I mean, some of the stuff that you've done has just been eye-popping that I've seen.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, like I was just telling my buddy John here, like, this coming year, I'm planning on trying to do 2, I call them pop drops, where it's just like a pop-up pop culture. 2 pop drops a month. Anything from, a new Star Wars show coming out to, another Indiana Jones movie, Transformers, things like that. Like anything that you see, like a nice big blockbuster movie coming out or a TV show. There'll probably be a shoe that's like coordinated with that to kind of, coexist at the same time. So keep an eye out for that.
Definitely. So in the shoe culture, I'm not real transverse into that, so to speak, but I do know that there is a huge following for shoes. When you're making your shoes, yeah. When you're designing your shoes, what shoe do you base it off of? Like, do you use Nike or Reebok? Or?
Usually it's Nike, but I've just bought a bunch of forms for Adidas too. So I'm going to be doing some Adidas in the new year too. So, and then I also design my own silhouettes that, like, right now I'm doing like concept drawings. Like I don't know if you saw the Thundercat one I just posted the other day.
I didn't, but I'll have to look.
That's 100% like my design. So like I'm kind of like also posting concept drawings to see if, hey, is this something that people would buy, even though it's not a Nike or an Adidas or Reebok or whatever, So kind of playing around.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So I have some questions for you about some of the stuff you have behind you.
Yeah.
Are those all graded?
No, I wish. I only have a few things graded, but yeah, no. I got an acrylic guy, and he made all these fun acrylic for me. I just like the way they look in acrylic. They just look so better, you know.
Oh yeah. It makes them pop. I guess that's one of the reasons why I thought they were graded.
Yeah, got some fun.
Oh wow, that is cool.
I don't know if you can. Yeah, up there too.
Wow, that's a lot of
my toys down here.
So what's next for you coming up?
As far as the next shoe drop,
or shoes, or anything you may have coming up.
This coming year, I plan on doing a lot more conventions. I definitely have. Like I'm looking at my board right now. 1, 2, 3. At least 12 or 13 conventions coming up this year, where it's going to be like spread out between Comic Cons. And I still get invited to a lot of tattoo conventions, so they're going to be at some tattoo conventions and stuff too. So it's going to be spread out between those. I really don't like to do shoe conventions. I feel like a lot of times it's just a lot of resellers and not a lot of actual fans that are fans of the art, and it's just people that wanted to buy Travis Scott shoes and kind of build their hype, which I'm not about that shit at all. So.
Right.
Unless your hype,
hopefully
unless your hype is you have a Chef Boyardee sealed super shredder, with the black armor in a bag. That's hype to me. If you show me that, then you have some clout. Otherwise, I don't care if you got some stupid Travis Scott whatever shoe.
Well, hopefully you come to a con near me. That would be great. I'd love to meet you in person.
Heck yeah, man. That would be great.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, telling me a little bit about yourself, and kind of giving us some background on your new projects and what you're looking to do in the future.
Well, thanks for having me, man. And if anybody, I'll do a shameless self-promotion here. If anybody is looking to get a one-of-one commission, they are opening up January 2nd. You just go to Bulmanized.com. There's a request form on the first page. You fill that out. You send it to me. I look over it. I write you back. My only requirement with that is it needs to be nerdy. It needs to be something pop culture. Like if you just show me a shoe that somebody else made, I'm not going to remake that, especially if it's a boring shoe. Definitely not going to remake it. So yeah, January 2nd, Bulmanized.com. Hit me up. There's a very limited number of spots for the commissions. So hit me up. We can get jiggy with
it. Sounds good. Well, man, I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you guys later.
Yes, sir. Take care.